For many years, fans of the popular reality television series American Pickers were curious about what really happened between the show's well-known stars. The show became famous for its exciting adventures, antique discoveries, and the strong friendship between its main cast members. The trio that viewers loved the most included Mike Wolfe, Frank Fritz, and Danielle Colby. For years, they traveled across the United States searching for rare antiques hidden in barns, garages, and old buildings. Fans enjoyed not only the antiques they discovered, but also the chemistry between the hosts. However, everything changed when Frank Fritz suddenly disappeared from the show. His absence left many viewers confused and worried. Rumors quickly spread online, with some people believing that there had been serious arguments behind the scenes. Others thought Frank might have been dealing with personal problems or health issues. Because Danielle Colby had remained mostly silent during this time, many people wondered what she really thought about the situation. Eventually, Danielle decided to speak publicly about the rumors and share her thoughts about Frank's absence. Her words helped many fans understand the difficult situation that had been happening behind the scenes. Before the success of the show, the connection between the cast members had already been strong. The friendship between Mike Wolfe and Danielle Colby actually started long before television fame. Mike had been passionate about antiques since he was young and spent years traveling across the country looking for rare items to buy and sell. Danielle met Mike during the early years of his antique business and quickly became one of his most trusted friends. She admired his passion and determination, while Mike appreciated her strong personality and organizational skills. At the time, Mike was already working closely with Frank Fritz, who shared his love for collecting old and valuable items. The two men often traveled together searching for hidden treasures. When Danielle joined their circle, she helped organize the growing business and handled many of the office responsibilities. Her role was extremely important even though she did not always go on the picking trips. This strong friendship between the three eventually became the foundation of what would later turn into a successful television show. When American Pickers finally premiered in 2010, it quickly became one of the most popular reality shows on television. Viewers loved watching Mike and Frank explore forgotten places in search of antiques, while Danielle managed the business operations from their headquarters. The show felt authentic and entertaining because the cast members were genuine friends rather than actors. Their natural conversations and humorous moments made audiences feel like they were traveling alongside them. As the show grew more popular, the lives of the cast members began to change. Fame brought new opportunities, but also new pressures. Filming the show required long road trips across the country, sometimes lasting weeks at a time. The crew had to visit many different locations and spend long hours searching through dusty barns and cluttered storage spaces. While this lifestyle was exciting, it could also be physically exhausting. Over time, the demanding schedule began to affect Frank Fritz's health. Frank had been dealing with a serious medical condition called Crohn's disease, which causes inflammation in the digestive system and can lead to severe pain, fatigue, and other complications. Living with this illness made the constant travel and physical activity much more difficult for him. Although fans did not know about his health struggles at first, those close to him understood how challenging the situation had become. Danielle later explained that watching Frank struggle with his health was very painful for her because she had known him for many years. Despite his health problems, Frank tried to remain committed to the show and continued filming whenever he was able. However, as time passed, his absences became more noticeable, and viewers started to ask questions about why he was no longer appearing regularly. This growing curiosity eventually led to widespread speculation about what might have happened behind the scenes. As the questions from fans continued to grow, the silence surrounding Frank Fritz's absence became more noticeable. Viewers who had followed American Pickers since the beginning knew that the show had always depended on the chemistry between its main personalities. The friendly arguments, jokes, and shared excitement when discovering valuable antiques were a major part of the show's appeal. Because of this, Frank's sudden disappearance created confusion among loyal fans. Online discussions began to spread across social media, and many viewers started forming their own theories about what might have happened. Some believed that there had been a serious conflict between Frank Fritz and Mike Wolfe. Others thought that the producers of the show had decided to replace Frank with someone new. A few fans even suspected that the friendship between the longtime partners had completely fallen apart. During this time, Danielle Colby remained mostly quiet about the rumors. Because she had always been close to both men, fans believed she might know the real story. Eventually, Danielle decided to address the situation through a heartfelt message on social media. Her words provided important insight into the challenges Frank had been facing and helped clear up some of the misunderstandings that had spread online. In her message, Danielle explained that Frank's absence was not the result of a dramatic fight or personal betrayal, as many rumors had suggested. Instead, she revealed that his health had been the most important factor behind the situation. According to Danielle, Frank had been dealing with serious health struggles for many years, including his battle with Crohn's disease. This chronic illness can cause severe stomach pain, fatigue, weight loss, and frequent medical complications. Living with such a condition made it extremely difficult for Frank to continue traveling for long periods while filming the show. The production schedule of American Pickers often required the cast to drive thousands of miles while searching for antique collections in rural towns and private properties. These trips could last several days or even weeks at a time, which was physically demanding even for healthy individuals. Danielle explained that watching Frank struggle with these health challenges had been very difficult for those who cared about him. She shared that many people behind the scenes had tried to support him and respect his privacy while he dealt with these personal battles. For Danielle, speaking publicly about Frank's situation was not about creating drama, but about helping fans understand the reality of what had been happening. At the same time, Danielle also addressed another rumor that had been circulating among viewers. Many fans believed that she had chosen sides in an alleged feud between Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz. Because Danielle often shared supportive messages about Mike on social media, some people assumed that she was distancing herself from Frank. However, Danielle explained that the situation was far more complicated than people realized. She described Mike not only as a co-worker but also as a close friend who had been an important part of her life for many years. Their friendship had started long before television fame, and they had built a strong bond while working together in the antique business. Danielle said that her loyalty to Mike did not mean she had abandoned Frank. Instead, she cared about both men and hoped that fans would understand that relationships between friends can become complicated when serious challenges arise. She also emphasized that she could only speak for her own experiences and feelings rather than explain every detail of the situation between Mike and Frank. Her message showed that she wanted to protect the dignity and privacy of everyone involved while still offering fans some clarity. Despite the difficulties that surrounded Frank's absence, Danielle also expressed how much she missed working with him. She admitted that the show felt different without his presence and that the dynamic between the hosts had changed. Frank had always brought a unique personality to the series with his humor, curiosity, and deep knowledge of antiques. His conversations with Mike often created some of the most memorable moments in the show's history. Danielle explained that while the team continued to move forward, they understood that Frank had played an important role in building the success of the series. His contributions to the world of antique collecting and reality television would always remain part of the show's legacy. For many fans, Danielle's message was emotional because it reminded them of the early years of the series when the three friends worked closely together. It also showed that the story behind Frank's absence was not simply about television drama, but about real people dealing with serious life challenges. When fans read Danielle's message, many began to see the situation from a new perspective. Instead of focusing on rumors and speculation, they started to understand the human side of the story. Health struggles, personal pressures, and the demands of fame had all played a role in shaping what eventually happened. While the show continued to evolve, the memories of the original trio remained an important part of its history. Danielle's willingness to speak openly about the situation helped many viewers find closure and appreciate the difficult choices that sometimes have to be made when life becomes complicated. As time passed, the success of American Pickers continued to grow, and with that success came new challenges for the people involved in the show. When the program first started, the concept was simple. Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz would travel across small towns in the United States looking for forgotten antiques hidden in barns, sheds, and garages. Their goal was to find valuable historical items that had been sitting untouched for many years. Viewers loved the excitement of watching them negotiate with collectors and discover pieces of history that many people had forgotten. The show felt natural and spontaneous in its early seasons, which made audiences feel like they were part of the adventure. However, as the program became more popular, the production process also became more organized and demanding. Producers needed to plan filming schedules, arrange travel routes, and ensure that every episode contained interesting discoveries that would keep viewers entertained. This level of planning sometimes changed the way the picking trips were conducted. Instead of completely spontaneous searches, some locations had to be arranged ahead of time to make filming easier. While this approach helped the show run smoothly, it also created new frustrations for some of the cast members who preferred the original, more relaxed style of picking. One of the people who felt these changes most strongly was Frank Fritz. Throughout his career, Frank had always enjoyed the freedom of exploring the countryside in search of hidden antiques. He liked the excitement of not knowing what he might find during each trip. However, as the show continued to grow, the pressure to produce successful episodes increased. The production team needed to make sure that every episode contained interesting items and engaging stories for viewers. This sometimes meant that filming schedules became tighter and the crew had to move quickly from one location to another. According to reports and interviews, Frank sometimes felt uncomfortable with the way the show was evolving. He believed that the process of picking antiques was becoming more structured than it had been in the past. While he still loved discovering unique items, he also felt that the pressure of television production was slowly changing the experience. These feelings did not necessarily mean that he disliked the show, but they did add stress to an already demanding job. At the same time, his ongoing health issues were making it harder for him to keep up with the long travel schedules required by filming. During this period, Danielle Colby found herself in a unique position within the team. She had always worked closely with both Mike and Frank, and she understood their personalities better than most people. Danielle often acted as a calming presence whenever disagreements appeared. Her role in managing the business operations also meant that she had a clear understanding of how much work went into keeping the show running smoothly. Because of this, she could see both sides of the situation. On one hand, she understood Frank's frustration with the growing demands of television production. On the other hand, she also recognized the responsibility that Mike felt toward the show's success and the many people who worked behind the scenes. The program had become a major project involving producers, camera crews, editors, and many other professionals. Maintaining that level of success required careful planning and commitment from everyone involved. Danielle often tried to support both men while helping the team continue working together despite the challenges they were facing. Another factor that increased the pressure on the cast was the constant attention from fans and the media. As American Pickers became more popular, viewers became more interested in the personal lives of the people on the show. Social media platforms made it easier for fans to follow the cast members and comment on their activities. While this attention could be positive, it also meant that every change or rumor quickly became a topic of discussion online. When Frank began missing episodes due to health problems, fans immediately started asking questions. Some viewers were worried about his well-being, while others tried to guess what might be happening behind the scenes. The constant speculation created an environment where small misunderstandings could quickly grow into major rumors. Danielle later explained that this situation made it difficult for the team because they wanted to protect Frank's privacy while he dealt with serious health challenges. At the same time, they understood that fans cared deeply about the show and wanted answers. As the months passed, it became clear that the situation was becoming more complicated. Frank's health issues continued to affect his ability to participate in filming, and the production team had to make difficult decisions about how the show would move forward. The absence of one of the original hosts changed the dynamic that viewers had loved for many years. Although the remaining cast members tried their best to continue the series, they knew that the show would never feel exactly the same without Frank's presence. For many fans, this period marked the beginning of a new chapter in the history of the program. While the adventure of searching for antiques continued, the friendships and experiences that built the show's early success remained an important part of its story. As the years went on, the the health challenges faced by Frank Fritz became more serious and began to affect his ability to continue working on American Pickers. For many viewers, Frank had always appeared energetic and passionate during the early seasons of the show. He enjoyed traveling across the country, meeting collectors, and searching for rare antiques that had been forgotten in barns or garages. However, behind the scenes, Frank was quietly dealing with a long-term illness that made everyday life much more difficult than fans realized. He had been diagnosed with Crohn's disease, a chronic condition that causes inflammation in the digestive system. This illness can create painful symptoms such as stomach cramps, fatigue, sudden weight loss, and frequent trips to the bathroom. Living with Crohn's disease is not easy because the symptoms can appear suddenly and without warning. For someone whose job required long hours of travel and physical activity, managing this condition became a constant struggle. The filming process for American Pickers was demanding even for healthy individuals. The hosts often spent many days on the road, traveling through different states while visiting collectors and antique sellers. Each episode required careful planning, long drives, and hours of filming conversations and negotiations. For Frank, these conditions became increasingly difficult as his illness progressed. Some days he had enough energy to continue working, but on other days his symptoms were so severe that he needed time to rest and recover. Because Crohn's disease can flare up unexpectedly, it made scheduling filming around his health extremely challenging. Despite these difficulties, Frank remained dedicated to the show and continued participating whenever he felt strong enough to do so. His commitment showed how much he cared about the work he had helped build alongside Mike Wolfe. Throughout this period, Danielle Colby and the rest of the team tried to support Frank in whatever way they could. Danielle later explained that many people behind the scenes were aware of his struggles, but chose not to discuss them publicly. They believed that Frank deserved privacy while dealing with such a personal medical condition. At the same time, they hoped that fans would understand that sometimes people need time away from work to focus on their health. Unfortunately, because the public did not know the full story, many rumors began to spread online. Some viewers believed that Frank had left the show because of a disagreement with Mike or the production team. Others thought he had simply lost interest in continuing the series. These rumors grew louder each time a new episode aired, without Frank appearing on screen. For the people who worked closely with him, it was painful to watch the situation become misunderstood by so many viewers. In 2022, Frank's situation became even more serious when he suffered a stroke. This medical emergency changed many aspects of his life almost overnight. A stroke occurs when blood flow to the brain is interrupted, which can cause damage to important areas responsible for movement, speech, and memory. After the stroke, Frank faced a long recovery process that required medical care and rehabilitation. Reports stated that he experienced difficulties with mobility and communication during this time. Because of these challenges, he needed to step away completely from public appearances and focus on healing. Friends and supporters, including Mike and Danielle, expressed their concern and wished him a full recovery. Fans of the show also shared messages of support across social media, hoping that Frank would regain his strength and eventually return to the life he loved.